Okay, we are still waiting for one more person, but I think we'll get started because I don't want to eat into the time too much so we can get through everyone as much as we can. So welcome to everyone who's watching. Sorry if you've been sat watching us just have do nothing for the last few minutes. We are back and we are actually talking now. So we're going to have a bit of a panel session, so a little bit different to what you've been doing so far. So I've got a load of questions that I want to ask everyone, and this is all going to be about different pathways into getting into career or education. So before we start, I'm just going to let everyone introduce themselves, and so if I can ask you all just to tell us a little bit more about your job and kind of your pathway into what you're doing now, just to give everyone a bit of background about kind of why you're here today and the route that you took. So Emily, can I start with you?
Yeah, of course. So my name's Emily and I work as part of our resourcing team at Auto Trader. So part of my role is to attract great talent to come and work with us at Auto Trader, and also to get involved in early careers, to get involved in initiatives like Digital Her, to try and inspire especially young girls to get a career in technology, and really just working on getting more females into tech and showing them why it would be great to work in the tech industry.
Amazing. Coral, do you want to tell us a little bit about what you do and kind of your journey into it? Oh, you're on. I think you're on mute.
Yeah. Sorry about that. So I'm Coral Granger, and I now work in Manchester Met University in the apprenticeship unit. My background's quite unusual in that I started out local government, working for a council, working on projects and partnerships to make towns and places and the economy better. And increasingly, it became apparent that the way to do that was about finding the right jobs, the companies that were going to grow in a place, and how we could create education programs to help local people get those jobs. So that's what I'm doing now. Now I'm in Manchester Met, and I mainly work in the apprenticeships unit. So that's about developing degree programs so that you can go to university and get a degree, but also work in brilliant businesses like Auto Trader and BJSS, while you work and get a degree education and university education as well. And I especially work with the new School of Digital Arts, which opens next year. We've got some great programs there that I can tell you about later.
Thanks, Coral. And Steph, do you want to tell us a little bit about kind of what you do in sort of your journey into your role?
Yes, so my name's Steph. Hi, everyone. I work for a company called BJSS, and we are a tech consultancy. So I come from a background within recruitment, specifically within IT. I'm part of the resourcing team here, so I'm helping to grow the brand and hiring people across the remit in tech. And we also have an academy at BJSS for people who fancy a career change or an apprenticeship scheme to get into tech. I'm a huge advocate for women in tech. And that's why I'm here today.
Thanks, guys. So you're all working different companies, doing kind of different jobs, and the companies are doing different things. Do you want to tell me just a little bit more about what it is that you love about working where you do? Steph, do you want to tell us a little bit about why you like working at BJSS?
So I love working here because there is so much opportunity that the company presents to people from all backgrounds. So in terms of diversity and inclusion and backgrounds from different industries, there is something here for everyone. And as long as you're passionate about what you do, you're in a really good supportive environment of people here to help you to be the best you can be, basically. Surrounded by people who give you support, and it feels like a big family. So we're all working towards a common goal and helping each other every step of the way. So that's why I love working here.
And I think obviously BJSS is one of the sponsors of the Digital Her programme, which I mentioned this morning. But I know you put a lot of investment into kind of initiatives such as Digital Her, but you've also got your own training academy as well, haven't you?
Yes, we do. So we have the BJSS Academy, which is amazing. We have one guy who is dedicated to trying to entice as many people as he can to come and join. So it's for people who, as I say, from any background. So you could be a graduate, you could be at a stage in your life where you fancy a career change, or if you're not too sure what you want to do, we're here to have those conversations with you and help you figure that out. And there is, as I say, there is something here for everyone, and we just love people who are super passionate and ambitious, and just having a good attitude and willingness to learn would really sort of fit in here. So.
Yeah, and I love that. I love the fact that there's such a commitment to the people that work there as well and developing that talent. That's great.
Yes.
Emily, what about Autotrader? What do you love about working with Autotrader?
It's actually really similar to Steph. So one of the things that I love about working at Autotrader the most is probably how diverse our workforce is and how much work we do in terms of creating a really diverse and inclusive workplace for people from all different types of backgrounds. So before working at Autotrader, I kind of worked in the same companies and hadn't really been able to learn a lot about different backgrounds. And I was kind of working with all the similar types of people. So from joining Autotrader is meeting people from all different types of backgrounds. Like what I love about Autotrader is if someone's passionate about something and it means something to them, then they can get lots of different people involved to celebrate that with them if it is important to them. And people are just so open-minded in terms of learning new things. So we have 6 company values that are really important at Autotrader, and they are literally ingrained in everything that we do. So the way that we work, the way that we recruit, and one of those is community-minded. And it was probably brought in around 3 years ago now. So we're incredibly passionate about helping the community around Northwest in Manchester as well. So everyone that works with us gets 2 volunteering days a year, and we actively encourage people to use those volunteering days where we can go out and help the community in any way that you think. So things like getting involved with Digital Here Roadshows, you can do volunteering at homeless shelters, at food banks, which obviously is incredibly important as well at the moment. And it's really good to see that people are still going out and using their time to volunteer at food banks and homeless shelters across Manchester. I just think working in such a diverse workforce where the company is really passionate about getting people involved in those sort of things is just really, it's quite humbling to see.
Yeah, I think from a lot of the work that we do with you guys at Autotrader, we've seen you've got everyone in there has a voice, and there's different panels that represent different groups, and they've all got a voice. And I think there's that, like you said, putting that back into the community, but also kind of putting it into the company and changing the future and how things are run as well, I think is a really great part. Coral, do you want to talk to us a little bit about MMU? Because obviously it's very different to what we've just heard, because it's with it being a university. What do you love about working there?
It is. And if I can talk about that and maybe talk about the Institute of Coding, but just to add to what's been said, prior to coming here, I have worked in digital agencies. And I think another thing just to mention to people who are wondering about digital jobs is the sort of projects that you work on. So I was working on design. I'm now involved in education on design programs and user experience programs. But I don't know about people who are watching, but I've been trying to order something from a supermarket last night, and it's driven me mad when things haven't worked on the app or on the website. And I've loved working in digital agencies and understanding how people use products. And sometimes that's been learning products, that's sometimes been work for the BBC, things that you might be looking at online, and trying to really do that research of how people use products on the phones, on the computers, and change them. And I think that's something that's really, so the actual, as well as the culture in the organisations with digital jobs, the really exciting things, I think, to work on as well. And you can see an impact of the work that you do, and it's going to be used by thousands and thousands of people. So I think that's a really good thing about digital jobs. In Manchester Met, the work that I do is then I work with businesses to understand the skills they need in the companies to create those products and services. And then I work with the teachers to design the teaching programs that deliver those services back. And that's the work that I do with the apprenticeships and in the School of Digital Art. So that's user experience, digital marketing, that one's in the business school, and we're looking at a new sort of creative design, like the visual design of things, or 3D animation and all of this stuff. What do the businesses need? And then we try and design the programs to deliver that, and you can come and join on those programs and be skilled up and get jobs and training for that. I also do work with the Institute of Coding, who are sort of a sponsor of Digital Her, and that's really about diversity and inclusion as well. So making sure that then the programs that we offer, like these apprenticeships, are designed in a way that's inclusive, that they reflect all sorts of interests, that they're attractive to all kinds of people, but that we support all kinds of people, and we've got really diverse teaching teams as well.
Amazing. I really like that point that you made at kind of the beginning about the frustrations you feel in a particular digital product, whether you're trying to order something online, and knowing that you're kind of part of that team that are able to fix that and make that better. And I'm sure we talked about it at the start, like the amount of interactions we have with digital products that have been created by digital and tech companies. And we've all got those frustrations of when Instagram isn't working properly, or, you can't check out online when you're trying to order something. I think it's really interesting bringing it back to kind of you and how that kind of impacts you as well. So thank you for that, Coral. So just thinking about, we wanted to talk about pathways today and how we get into how these people that are watching could potentially get into a digital career. And obviously there's various different pathways out there, whether you go into so many boot camps, there's further education, there's kind of internships, graduate programs, there's so many different routes in, and depending what you wanted to do. What I wanted to talk about a little bit was about the traits that kind of you and your organisation sort of really value with young people coming in. So whether it's coming straight into the business or they're coming into an education place, what are the traits that you really look for? Emily, do you want to start us off?
Yeah, of course. So definitely some of the traits that we look for when hiring, especially like early careers in tech, is obviously we don't expect people to have heaps and heaps of experience. And I know that there's things out there where people get rejected for like entry-level roles because they haven't got enough experience. Like we just don't expect, obviously it's just not realistic to expect that at all. Something that we look for is having a real passion for work, wanting to have a career in technology and wanting to work in tech. So these can be things like providing examples of maybe when you've done a hack maybe at your school or your college, maybe when you've worked on some technology with your friends, if you're working on a problem. So thinking about those problem solving skills, like we've had a few applications recently, and in their answers to some of our grad roles, they've talked about their love for doing like escape rooms. So just having that passion for wanting to solve problems, passion for technology. So if you've got like a GitHub page or things like that, if you, like I said, if you do maybe community hacks, university, college, school hacks, anything like that is what we are looking for. So where you spent time outside of maybe your college or university or education, and how you get involved in tech in your spare time.
Steph, do you want to talk a little bit about what you look for?
Yeah, so I mean, there's so many different avenues you can go down within tech. So a lot of women, when they think about a career in technology, they instantly think just engineering, but there is so much more than that. There are project management roles and delivery management roles and things like that. So I think when it comes down to it, and considering those sort of pathways, really think about the skills within yourself that you really want to leverage, and what you're good at. So if you're really analytical, or if you're really creative, there's loads of roles within design that you can get involved with. It's not necessarily just hardcore engineering, which is a stigma I sort of want to throw. Well, yeah, just want to change that basically. So we just look for people who are, again, like what Emily said, really passionate about what they do. If you are involved with anything else outside of work, if you get involved with any sort of charitable organizations and things like that, we love to hear about it and somehow find a way to incorporate that within the business. Because at the end of the day, we're all really passionate people, and you just find out what makes you tick, and there will be something within tech that your skills will apply to. So it's just, don't be afraid to explore the options, and as long as you have the right attitude and the willingness to learn and all that you will be supported to get to where you want to be.
Yeah, and I think one of the things that we often talk about is that careers aren't kind of linear anymore. So I think if you've got that passion to get into an industry, it's once you're in, the industry changes so quickly as well. So showing that passion and that want to learn will help kind of shape your career as you move through.
Yeah, it's very fluid, and specifically, well, especially with a consultancy, you can move between departments if you wanted to. You can skill up in other areas if you wanted to, and we have different capabilities, all doing different things. So if you decide you want to move into another area, you can do. So it's very much a fluid industry, which again is why I love working within it. You're not limited to anything.
Yeah. And what would your advice be, Coral? Because obviously coming from not being an employer as such, although you do employ people at MMU, as being kind of an education institution, what is it that what are the traits that you look for in kind of your students, or what is it that you talk to your students about those traits when going for employability? Oh, you're on mute again.
I know I have a fan on my MacBook that I don't want to distract you with. So I think probably, as with everybody, we look for people across all programs who are curious, who like to learn, who like to find out how to do new things, and who are quite ambitious. There was a question in there about what's the difference between an internship and an apprenticeship. With the apprenticeships, you're being taken on by an employer. And so you're on a work contract for at least a year. With us, they're 4 years when you're doing a degree, and then you're going and studying as well. So really what you're looking for is, it's not a really easy route. It's quite hard work because you're working and you're studying as well, but you find those two things work together and you do better work and better studying. So you've got to be quite hardworking, quite ambitious to do an apprenticeship, quite curious, and they're the things that employers are looking for as well. I think the other thing is, going back to my experience last night of trying to order my little boy some new school socks, which took far longer than it should have done, is be thinking about the products and services that you're using. So if somebody doesn't have the entry qualifications, people come onto our degree programs if they've either got a level 3 apprenticeship in the relevant subject, or they've got A levels. If they haven't got those, they can still come on if they've come through a different route, but we would ask them to do a piece of work, and that piece of work would ask them to think about a marketing campaign that they've seen or a product that they've used, and do a bit of analysis of it. So the sort of things I'm talking about, saying this app doesn't work and why it doesn't work, that's the sort of mindset that we're looking for, people who can critically analyse things and think how they might want to make it better.
Yeah, I really like that. It's that real curiosity about things, isn't it, rather than just accepting what you see in front of you. I wanted to pick up on, there's just a couple of questions in the chat that we've had. So Coral, I know you've kind of answered one of these already, but one of the students watching today has got a sight impairment, so they're losing their sight at the moment, and they've just asked, would that affect them doing digital and tech, or are there specific jobs that you could recommend that they would go into? Coral, I know you started answering this.
Yeah, I think people design and create digital products and websites, they need to make them that can be used by people who need screen readers and different assistive technology as well. So having that personal experience as somebody who might use assistive technology would be helpful in that design process as well. So that could be a good skill to bring. I can't speak about other jobs. I know, or if there is a specific job for somebody in your situation, but I know that the RNIB, the Institute for the Blind, do a lot of work around digital skills, and also Barclays. Actually, Barclays have an amazing guy who is their one of their leadership guys, Paul Smythe. He's blind. He's registered blind, and he's in quite a leadership position there in their digital team. So I wouldn't definitely wouldn't let that hold you back, but maybe look for people like that. Speak to RNIB, who are really good. But also there is an apprenticeship programme, I think it might be a level 4 and 5, that is about being an assistive technology sort of specialist in an apprenticeship programme. So there could be all sorts of areas, and it's a user requirement that's really growing for all kinds of different needs, people with dyslexia, or all sorts of different ways that people use digital products and services, that's being improved all the time. And I think more opportunities will open up.
Absolutely. Steph or Emily, from an employer's point of view, obviously bringing in kind of that sight impairment, is that a blocker to entering the industry, or is that something that kind of as employers you work with?
Yeah, I'd say especially for us, we really want to attract people from diverse backgrounds, and you can always bring something to the table regardless of any impairment you may have. We tailor all of our interview processes and working environments around people that need specific things to make it work for them. So yeah, we would encourage people to still apply for those jobs. Nothing's going to stop you. We can make things work.
Yeah, thank you. So I hope that answers your question, Chloe. We had one more question just while you're on, Steph. Someone's asked, in BJSS, is there a job for graphic designers?
Yeah, so we actually do have a digital arm called Spark, which is all around design, and it's actually quite a new area for us, and we are growing it. So yes, we definitely do. Feel free to ping me a message or contact me directly after, and I can tell you more.
Perfect, thank you. So we've still got a few minutes left, so if anyone does have any more questions, please pop them in the chat and we will try and get round to them. So thinking about taking us back quite a few years, if it's me, what advice would you give your 16-year-old self? So if you're thinking back around kind of education and employability, what advice would you give to your 16-year-old self? Who do we start? Emily, do you want to start? Sorry.
I don't know. I'd probably tell myself to be more, try and be a little bit more confident. Especially, I know, there's been times when I'd been to assessment centres or been to events, and I was maybe the only female, or a small number of female there, a number of females there. So I'd probably just have more confidence in myself and believe in myself a little bit more. I know it is really hard when you are especially that age, and it just seems like there's just so much going on. I'd probably just say confidence, do research into about what you want to do, go prepared so wherever you go in case you are asked any questions. That's what I'm doing.
Thank you. What about you, Steph? What advice would you give you 16-year-old?
I could write a book on this. Well, I was one of those people who, when I finished college, I didn't really excel in any particular subjects. I had a passion for things, but I never felt I was good enough, and I was really worried about taking up a subject in university and potentially failing it. So I would say, very similar to Emily, don't be afraid to do what you really want to do. There are so many avenues for you to get into certain areas, and I wish I'd known about these boot camps and these apprenticeships. And they're just, when I was in college, it just wasn't really talked about enough, and I guess I didn't ask any questions either. I didn't really do any research. So take the time to just explore your options on the market and look at things that you might you're not potentially considering now, but you just never know. Once you chat to someone, or once you get talking to someone in an industry, it could change your mind. It could change your perception, especially if you were like me, where you didn't really know what sort of pathway you were going to go into. Just have those conversations. There's nothing to lose, and you just never know what you might discover. So just don't be afraid to do what you really want to do and follow your dreams.
Yeah. Thank you. What about you, Coral?
Very much what Steph was, I'm echoing now. Very much what Steph was saying about research, and there's a question there about what websites, but I think it's thinking about what you enjoy, what your interests are, and find something that you really enjoy and you can get really into and really study, and then think, well, what are the jobs that can help me spend my time doing that thing that I enjoy, and finding jobs around that. And usually now everything, if you wanted to do a digital job but you've got an interest in music or fashion or whatever you're interested in, you can usually find a digital angle or a work angle related to that thing that you enjoy. So just really get deep into it, so that when you're talking to employers in that industry, you can show a passion for what you're doing. And I think that's the most important thing. But also, research, just Google, just Google the terms, Google the jobs, find out role models or people who seem to be doing something that you think is a cool job. Google them, try and find out how they got there, read about them, do lots of reading.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, we've got the Digital Her Instagram account, which features all of our role models on there. We try to do posts on the weird and wonderful jobs that everyone's doing. And there's also the Digital Her website, where we've got the inspiration wall, and that gives you access to all of the women that are working in digital and tech, and it'll tell you a little bit more about them and what the roles are that they're doing and why they do them. And obviously speak to your career advisors. There are specific websites, there are books out there that you can use. There is one that's live on the Manchester Digital website that will talk to you a little bit more in detail about digital and tech jobs, and help you understand, based on it, there's a bit of a quiz on there, and that might help you understand what roles you could go and do. But I think that point you've all really made is like, do something that you're passionate about, something that you enjoy, because if you enjoy it, then it's not going to feel as hard at work going to work every day. So we've got a couple of minutes left. Someone's asked a question: do we need to have specific qualifications to do an apprenticeship? Coral, do you want to take this?
So I'm dealing with degree apprenticeships at university. So with us, our standard entry qualifications, that means you automatically get on that other programs I have on the design side and the digital marketing and things. That's 104 UCAS points, which at A level is like BCC, or it's a level 3 apprenticeship. But there are, but as I've said, sometimes we look for experience. Another experience, we can do tests, so that if you don't have those qualifications, there can still be routes on. But there are other apprenticeships. You could do a level 3 apprenticeship first, and that could be straight after school. And there are all different. It depends really on the programme that you're doing and the provider that you're doing it with. But at Manchester Met, do we have to attend A level to go to uni, or level 3 is fine? Yeah, I mean, A level is like a type of level 3, but the different level 3 qualifications have different points. So even if you don't have those points, those UCAS points, those 104 points that we say, there can still be ways around it. So don't just do your best, tell us what you've got, and then we try and work with you. But with the apprenticeship, what you have to also remember is that it's the employer as well. So the employer selects you first, and then you apply for the university place. So you've got to sort of do both things, and we work in partnership like that.
Thanks, Coral. And I would say just reach out and ask people. There's so many different companies. Manchester is full of places offering apprenticeships, like traineeships and things like that. Reach out. There are people that are dedicated to recruitment, and they will happily talk to you about what your options are and ways around it. There isn't like I said, there's not a linear route as there used to be before, where you have to have A levels. There are so many routes into further education now as well.
I was just going to say, sorry to interrupt, just with on that topic, BGSS Academy. So you don't need a degree or A levels. We'll consider school leavers, people who fancy a career change. So you could come from something completely different. So you don't necessarily need those certifications. You can come in, as you are, and we would provide the support and the training to get you up to speed. So, and there's so much more out there as well as us.
Yeah, sorry.
I was just going to say exactly what Steph has said. The other point is that, coming from all directions, but also on our on our programs, we've got people of all kinds of ages, so they've tried other things first, as you say, career changes. Don't be worried that you've got to make 100% the right decision now. If you try something and it doesn't work out for you, you know, you can come and try something else later, and you can come back and come into these careers at any time.
Yeah, I think that's really, really valuable advice, is kind of try things, because everything that you do, you'll learn skills, and that all builds up to, you know, where you may end up in 5 or 10 years time. So that's us at the end of this session. So just want to say a huge thank you to Steph, Emily and Coral for joining us. I hope you've all found that interesting and there's been some advice there. Like I said, if there's anything else, please reach out, ask questions, because people are more than happy to answer those for you. I will put the link, I'll go and get the link for the Manchester Digital kind of task that's up on the site, and I'll share that with you later, so you can go on there and do that quiz and find out what could be right for you. But we're going to take a short 10-minute break now. So if you want to kind of head out of the sessions area, and then we'll be back on the stage just after 1 o'clock. But thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.